Working on some big channel updates, guys, so I hope you'll follow along and subscribe if you haven't already. But I still get questions for the Q50, so we got to keep showing the support to the family. Rolling in the Titan today, but as long as I keep getting Q50 questions, I'll keep making Q50 videos. One really good question that I've gotten lately or recently was, if I were to do it all over again, what would the first modification be that I make to the Q50? And I'm going to go ahead and say I'd do this whether it was a 3.7 or a 3.0T. Now, some people might say you should do wheels first, or you should do exhaust. What the? Low fuel? I should have known. Wife's been driving this thing. Now, as I was saying, some people might argue that you should get wheels or exhaust first, whether it's for the 3.0T or the 3.7. And I think there's probably really good arguments to be made for those things. Wheels obviously make a big difference in how the car looks. If they're lighter weight wheels, they can certainly add to or contribute to the overall performance of the Q50. Exhaust makes a huge difference, and it's always one of the first things that I take care of because you can do it relatively inexpensively. A car that sounds good is the cool car, in my opinion. So again, there's arguments to be made. Wheels, exhaust, aero. A lot of people want to put spoilers and splitters on their cars right away. And again, probably really good choices, but I'm going to have to say the very first thing that you should do to your Q50, and the very first thing that I would do were I to purchase a Q50 again in stock form, would be a suspension upgrade. That's it, hands down. Suspension upgrade, very first thing I would do. I don't give a crap if you do lowering springs or you do coilovers. The car needs to be lowered, and let me tell you why. Now, the very first modification that I made to my Q50 when I picked it up in 2018-ish was the exhaust. I did a muffler delete. I knew it was only temporary, but I needed to get a little bit more grunt out of that 3.7. So again, I could see someone's argument for saying that the exhaust must be the first upgrade because I pursued that myself. And again, it's one of my favorite modifications. It's one of the easiest, cost-effective modifications that you can make. I knew I was going to pursue a more permanent exhaust solution, which ultimately led to the SCS catback, but for the time being, I needed the car to sound a little bit better, have a little bit more growl, be a little more aggressive, so muffler delete made sense. I think if you asked me then what my first modification should be, I would probably have said exhaust, and I probably would say that wheels should follow shortly thereafter, which they did for me as well. I got a new set of wheels. However, today, I think a little bit differently. I'm a little older and wiser, and I've had some time to reflect. These gas prices sure haven't gotten any better. The Q50, of course, has, like any car, a number of shortcomings, and if you're like me, you want to address all of them right up front, but, you know, sometimes the bank account dictates just how much you can invest at any given point. Now, I don't want to say the factory Q50 suspension is a shortcoming per se, because let's face it, Q50 is not supposed to be a sports car. It's supposed to be a luxury, cushy, floaty, family sedan, right? Which it is. But if you like to drive a bit more spiritedly and you're looking to push your Q50 in the corners a little bit, carve the canyons, head to the mountains, or, even improve its traction at the drag strip, the factory suspension just isn't going to cut it. It's a little floaty, it's a little bouncy, it's a little squishy. From personal experience, if you hit the canyons or you want to run the switchbacks in the mountains, you're going to experience some understeer. You're going to feel a lot of body roll. You're going to feel the car not wanting to respond to the input into the steering wheel. And that is not very confidence inspiring when you are heading toward a 300-foot cliff at speed. The difference you will feel after upgrading your Q50 suspension is night and day. That's whether you go with coilovers or you make an upgrade as inexpensively as going with the Tane S-Tech lowering springs. Man, is this camera shaking? If you've been following this channel for any length of time, you will have seen me recommend the Tane S-Tech lowering springs on a number of occasions. I still highly, highly recommend them. For under $300, you dramatically improve the appearance of your Q50, but also dramatically improve its handling capabilities. Whether you go with coilovers or you go with lowering springs, you're going to feel an immediate difference. The car is going to be much more nimble. It's going to feel much more planted. Body roll is going to be reduced. Steering response is going to be dramatically increased. Of course, the better tires you have, the better this responsiveness is going to be. Not only performance-wise, the car is going to be much more aesthetically pleasing. You're going to close that wheel gap, lower the center of gravity, and just kind of give the car a much more aggressive, more appealing stance, in my opinion. So suspension checks a ton of boxes on this car. So I really suggest suspension as the first modification because of just the overall difference that it makes in how the car looks and how the car feels. You might think that other modifications will make the car feel or perform better, or it might make the car look better, have more of a dramatic impact on its overall appearance. But I gotta say, the reason I was against suspension as the first upgrade back in the day was because I was not a fan of the 17-inch non-sport wheels. The sport wheels I still don't like them, but they look better than the 17s. But I gotta say, when I put the 17s back on the car for a winter wheel, for a temporary wheel, with the car lowered, they actually didn't look that bad. Throw some spacers on there, push them out a little bit, they look even better. But I think you could get away with rocking the stock wheels, whether they're the 17s or the 19s. The red sport wheels are good looking too. Lowering the car, they're going to look 10 times better than they do at the factory ride height. It's amazing the difference that just lowering the car has on the look. And I think the handling improvement is enough to outweigh everything else, to be quite honest. You can have a ton of power in a car, but if it doesn't handle properly or it doesn't put the power to the ground appropriately, it really doesn't make any difference. It's kind of pointless in having it. So I'd rather have a car with 300 wheel horsepower that handles super well than a car with 500 or 600 horsepower that is like annoying to try to control in the corners. So that's why I lean more towards suspension at this point. Obviously, you want to take care of everything as quickly as possible or as soon as possible. But if you got $1,000 to spend and you want to have the biggest impact on your Q50 right off the rip, throw it towards suspension. Tires should follow shortly thereafter. But I would say at this point, if you're getting a Q50, chances are it's probably used, and it probably has a different set of tires on it anyway. And hopefully the previous owner chose a good set of tires to put on the thing. If you were to ask me my top 4 or 5 in order, I'm going to say suspension. Wheels and tires will keep as one package because you got to buy them both together, really. Catback exhaust, sway bars. It's going to just kind of tie that whole handling package together. And then probably full exhaust and tune. Put that together because you're just throwing in down pipes or test pipes to complete that full exhaust system, and then you got to tune it, get the most out of it. Now you got a good sounding, good handling Q50 that's making its optimum amount of power. But I gotta say, with the 3.0T, you throw a heat exchanger in there along with the down pipes and a tune, just kind of put that all together in a package. You're gonna have a nimble car that's making a good amount of power, that's stable and controllable, predictable on the road. I think it's a great package, and that's the order I'd do it in. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below what your first Q50 modification was or would be. Curious to know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching, guys. More to come for the channel, more Q50 stuff, more other stuff. Can't throw it out there yet. Working on some stuff for the channel. Hope you guys will follow along and subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate the support up to this point very, very much. See you in the next one.